Hello, welcome to our second recording on entrepreneurial motives. Today we are going to be looking at the motivation behind why people choose to become entrepreneurs. The cost requirements basically it's for us to look at these key points here. We are meant to look at the reasons why people set up business, including profits as a motive. For example, profit maximizers, profit satisficers, and other motives. Other motives will include ethical instances and, of course, social entrepreneur. Now, why exactly do people even think about becoming an entrepreneur? One thing that you must know is that entrepreneurship can be scary because there is no guarantee that the business will work, and the entrepreneur may end up losing money for the first few years. Have that in mind. So if you know that a business is a risk, why do you go into it? So there is definitely reasons why people choose to become entrepreneur. Now, the first reason will be financial motives. This is the very obvious one. Everybody do business because they want to get money. They want to make money out of it, or most people, let me put it that way. So this is very, very obvious. So under financial motives, we'll be examining what profit maximizers are, okay, and profit satisficers. All right, those are the two things under financial motives. And of course, we have the non-financial motives. Under non-financial motives basically means, well, the reason why people do get into and become entrepreneur is not for the money. Okay, so we'll be looking at examples like ethical stance. Okay, why it's not for money, it's just because of their ethos, what they think about, what they value. All right, also look at the social entrepreneurship, wanting to become their own boss. They want to be independent. And of course, at times people get into business because it fits their lifestyle and family commitments. They have babies, young kids, and they want to be around all the time. And of course, young hobby and young hobbies, or husbands or wife, and young people that just got married will probably want to, use the opportunity again to stay at home while they enjoyed the marriage life when they're young. Then of course there's self-esteem as well. All right, so let's look at the first point on the profit maximization. Now, when a firm applies profit maximization, it is basically saying that its primary focus is on profit, okay? And it will use its resources solely to get the biggest profit possible, regardless of the consequences of the risk involved. Profit maximization is generally short-term concept. Okay, so their aim is to make the money very fast. They don't think of the future. So it's a short-term thing. Application usually lasts less than 1 year. After all, some companies employ this strategy exclusively, constantly jumping on the next big thing. So some companies, their major aim is just to look at what's in vogue and they go for it, make their profit, and move on to the next big thing. Okay, so their main target, their main aim basically is to make sure that they maximize profit. Okay, so the company will usually adjust influential factors such as production costs, sales prices, and output levels as a way of reaching its profit goals. Okay, so the way they maximize their profit is basically they want to reduce their price. Okay, and they want to make it to sales. They want to reduce their cost of production. All right, so they're adjusting mainly, basically, in order to make profit. It could even be moving to a different location. So it's usually short-term based. Therefore, businesses tend to extract as much profit as possible. Which that's a disadvantage here now, because it's short-based. They want to make the best out of the opportunity that they have. All right. So for business, they are thinking of long-term profit. The best way for businesses that are thinking of long-term profit, the best way they maximize profit is by lowering their cost now to establish customers loyalty. So this is actually the opposite of profit maximization. They want to make profit, but they kind of reduce their costs. So their main aim is to focus on making profit in the future. So this is the opposite of profit maximization. All right, so but let's take a look at the advantage and disadvantages involved in this method or in this sort of motivation. All right, so the advantages: money. Revenue generated above and beyond expenses is for the owner to do with what he likes. That's an advantage. You get your thing as a even if you make so much profit, it is all yours as an entrepreneur. So this could include personal enjoyment or reinvestment in the company. That's the profit they make. They could put it back into the company. Then the more successful the company, the greater the financial reward. All right, so the next reason probably will be, or the next advantage will probably be business expansion. If they maximize profit, they have the opportunity to leverage on expanding their business because they have money now. So the profit that they made quickly, they can reinvest and expand their business. So they have the ability to borrow. Of course, when a bank says that a company is liquid, it's very liquid, it has plenty of funds, they can actually borrow more money to even invest on a bigger business. Then of course it attracts investors. I'll tell you, when your balance book or your balance sheet is it's lovely to look at, it attracts investors, and this of course could lead to a business expanding and getting better, and probably establishing in a different country completely. And of course, when your business is doing well, you are hiring more. This will also affect and the country that the company is located. So you're hiring more people. You are contributing to employment in that company, in that country. So what are the disadvantages? Lack of quality. Now, when people or when entrepreneurs, when they focus too much on profit, what happens? They may start producing cheaper products, and probably even to raise price. Their quality could go down because their focus is on making profits. So the quality of that product could go down, could reduce, and which of course is a disadvantage to the consumers. Then the profit maximization objectives ignores the time of return. It equates a euro received today with a euro received in the future. So that means when profit maximization is seen as an objective, it actually may be like a mirage. They could just see the euro for today as if it's very big. They don't actually reduce. They don't calculate the euro for today as against the value of what that euro will produce in 10 years time. It might be less. So at the end of the day, it might not really be making profit. Do you know what I mean? So it might not be making profit. So that's one disadvantage of profit maximization. It equates a euro received today with euro that could be received in future, which is not the best way to go about actually calculating your profit. Then, of course, it ignores the risk associated with stream of ease or of cash flow of a project. For example, the total profit from two projects may be same, but the profit from one project may be fluctuating widely than the profit for the other project. The firm with wider fluctuation in profit is riskier. For instance, now a firm could have made their sales and they haven't received the cash. So a firm that made a sale and received the cash up right away, maybe within a short period of time, those ones are actually those ones are classified as being less riskier than the ones that wait more months to receive their cash. So it's better to get your cash. That's when you can actually say you've made profit out of your transaction. So for instance, now you completed a project today and you receive your money, say in 3 months or 6 months time, I tell you, the value of your money could have gone down. That money, you could have used it to turn over. You could have used it to buy maybe some other products and maybe resell and make more profits. So that's really a gray area that's not being considered when they're calculating their profits. So it's also good to look at that area as well. Then, of course, the profit maximization objective of the firm has greater relevance to short run. Short run. In the long run, a firm cannot survive this objective. Yeah, if for instance now a company comes in and just make a lot of profit for just a short term, later on in time, the consumers will discover that they're probably charging too much, or they are involved in unfair trade practice, and before you know it, they pull out. So in the short run, you could actually make something out of it, but sooner or later, the consumers will get to find out exactly what you're up to. This actually happened to Marks and Spencer in some few years back when they declared profit of over 20%, and consumers were actually outraged at how could they be making such profit when their counterparts, their competitors, probably be making profit of 6%, but they were making profit of 20%. There was a blowback. There was a blowback, and a lot of people even boycott their products. So they've learned their lesson. Ever since then, they've actually never declared any such large profits. Okay, so the second thing we want to look at under profit as a motive is profit satisficing. Profit satisficing. That's a new name there. I'm sure you probably, a lot of us probably haven't heard of it before. But what exactly is profit satisficing? Profit satisficing behavior is an alternative business objective to maximizing profits. It means the business is making enough profit to keep shareholders happy, or it's sufficient for investors to maintain confidence and manageability. So basically, that is what profit satisficing is all about, where decision makers in a firm basically aim for a target level of profit rather than the absolute maximum level. So they go for the smallest profit that can keep them going. They are not hungry. Okay, just enough to pay their bills, pay their staff, and they're happy. That is what they do. Okay, so entrepreneurs seek to find the right profit, the exact right profit. All right. What's the advantage? Advantages of profit satisficing. Okay, managers keep shareholders happy while still pursuing their own objectives. Yeah, shareholders, basically, those are the people that own the companies. Okay, so if the company declare profit, if they declare profit for the year, the shareholders are the ones that share the money. The money goes to them. So the fact that they are just making sure that they break even and just have enough to go to survive, definitely it means the shareholders will have something. They are constantly happy because they know their business aim is to make sure they just reach that minimum satisfaction. So there's a certainty. They're not taking too much risk. So there's a certainty that the shareholders will go home happy. And the second point is that to examine a limited set of alternatives and choose the best of them. So in this kind of motivation, what the entrepreneur will do will be before they decide on what to do, they examine what they have, the alternative. Take their time to examine the best ones, before they move on with that. Then, of course, if a company's objective is to build a long-term successful business operation, profit satisficing makes more sense, particularly for new business. Long-term profit. They do not focus on making profit right now. They believe that in the future they will make this profit. They will eventually make this profit. So they sacrifice whatever they need to do. That short-term profit that profit maximizers will be involved with, they sacrifice that. They don't care. They just do their thing because they believe in being slow and steady. Eventually, they will make their profit. There's so many companies that will be doing that. For example, Coca-Cola. In fact, most retail companies, that is what they do. So they just put just a little money on their products just to keep them going. But eventually, in the long run, they've established a business relationship with their customers. Their customers are loyal to them, no matter what they have this. So long as they've been purchasing their brands, they will always come back to it. So at the end of the day, they actually make very good profits in the long run. So the disadvantages of profit satisficing. So in many firms, there is separation of ownership and control. Those who own the company, that is the shareholders, often do not get involved in the day-to-day running of the business. So this is a problem because although the owners may want to maximize profit, the managers have much less incentive to maximize profit because they do not get the same reward. Okay, so those that are actually working, they're in the ground in the business, they don't have that incentive to even to even perform as much as they want to perform, because the shareholders themselves, they're not even too crazy about profits. They just want to get on, get enough to get by. Okay, so the owner, the staff working behind them, they are kind of laid back. They are laid back. The only time they kind of get they're pushed will be when they feel the business is being threatened. So that's when they now come up again and say, okay, we need to do something. They become more innovative. They tend to be content and allow matters to continue until it is at least up to the point where survivor becomes threatened. That is when they will do the act. Okay, so non-financial motives. Like I said, the two financial motives. The first one, like I said, was profit maximization, and the second is profit satisficing. Then the non-financial motives, you have I think we're looking at three major ones there, three or four major ones there. The first one is ethical instincts. Okay, people with strong ethical convictions prefer to start a business themselves, which moral questions are within the control of the individuals. Okay, some people, they are very strong-willed. Okay, they have very strong ethical convictions, so therefore they select what they do. They don't, some companies, if they're doing some certain things, will say, no, because they're doing this, I will not be involved. So they would rather set up their own business so that they can have full control over their own thing. For example, the case of a Christian owner of a Colorado bakery who refused to make a wedding cake for a same-sex couple. Now, obviously, this is a self-employed person, and that's his own personal conviction to say, listen, it's my job, it's my thing, I can choose not to do this. Okay, so that's his own personal conviction. That's why some people actually decide to be self-employed or become entrepreneurs so that they can actually maintain their conviction. They will not be forced to do what they don't want to do. All right, the second one is the social entrepreneurship. Social entrepreneurship is about applying practical, innovative, and sustainable approaches to benefit society in general, with an emphasis on those who are marginalized and poor. What am I talking about? So basically, the entrepreneur mobilize, or their focus basically is to serve, and at the same time they need to also get enough money to meet the cost of what they are doing. Okay, their major aim is to solve problems relating to the economy or social problems. Okay, they look for businesses that will address social problems. That is why they are called social entrepreneurs. Okay, so our focus is not on the profit, even though they still get funding from the public or philanthropists, or even grant loans. But their major aim is to solve social problems. Okay, so all these falls under non-financial motives. And the last but not the least will be the independence. Independence. Basically, why would an entrepreneur even become an entrepreneur? One major reason will be they want to be independent. They want to do things their own way. They want to be able to stay at home and take care of their kids. They want to be able to stay with their new spouse. The flexible. Even though some companies now even adopt this method, to make they get their their employee to work from home. Even we it's been shown now that there's a motive behind it. Some is just to reduce the cost of employee coming to the office workspace and all that. But the bottom line about the entrepreneur themselves here is because they want to be independent, they want to be flexible, they want to work from home. Okay, so those are the points. Those are the points that you need to take note about the non-financial motives. So the next video, I will be looking at questions relating to looking at past papers or past questions relating to motives and entrepreneurial motives. See you soon.